Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic, host of Bachelorette Recap, and it is Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Boy, Fridays are paydays, and Chris Harrison got his this week. An 8-figure settlement. Does he get one check? Does it show up like Publishers Clearinghouse? Just that giant check he's got to bring into the bank and be like, can we get this in the savings account? You know, he's got to like sign it with one of those survivor markers they use to vote people off. I don't know, just thinking, is that what happens? So we've got a lot of stories today to talk about with regards to Chris Harrison. So what I'm going to talk about is the first one on Variety that says ABC's not rushing to name a replacement for Chris Harrison. And then we'll talk about Chris Harrison's Bachelor payout battle may open a can of worms. We like a good can of worms. And then the third one, Bachelorette Katie Thurston didn't need Chris Harrison, and neither do we. Well, that's an opinion. All right, we'll get into that. So anyway, if you are new here, hello, how are you? I cover all the Bachelor Nation news. This year, during the pandemic, we've been going day to day. We get 3 to 5 videos a day, nonstop coverage of all things Bachelor Nation. You didn't ask for it, and I'm barely delivering, so here we are. That's me, and if you like this video, please give it a like. Please subscribe. It helps the YouTube algorithm. Then I can call my mom and say, hey, Mom, I don't need that loan anymore. All right, folks, and if you want anything else, you can get Patreon insider access, weekly extra episodes, all those available in my private membership community. Let's get right into business. What do we have here? Let's go to the first article. This is written by Elizabeth Wagmeister, my good friend Elizabeth Wagmeister over at Variety.com. She writes excellent articles for Variety. So far, of all the people that cover The Bachelor, she seems to be the most professional. Variety being a little bit more professional than Us Weekly. No offense to Us Weekly. You are barely a magazine. What are you doing over there? It's all pop-ups and bullshit. All right, but Elizabeth, she's like the female version of me with health insurance. Freelancers, unite. Can't go skiing, don't want to break a leg. USA, USA. So this title's hilarious. ABC not rushing to name Chris Harrison's permanent replacement. Listen, let me tell you something. Newsflash. You ever break up with someone after dating for 20 years and it doesn't end well, and everyone's like, are you going to date someone next? And you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to do a rotating set of guest hosts. I think I'm going to have a couple new people come in. We'll play the field a little bit. Maybe I'll ghost somebody. Maybe they'll ghost me. Who knows? I mean, 20 years of dating. Wouldn't that be insane I mean, I'm sure some of my audience here, you get divorced, you break up after 20 years. 20 years ago was 2001, okay? We didn't have Tinder, Bumble, Grindr. Boy, you couldn't even use Yelp, the official online dating site. You type in your zip code, you go to the closest bar with the least amount of dollar signs, okay? That's how you do it in my world. All right, but anyway, we'll see what Chris Harrison's doing as far as courting new jobs. I feel like he's going to be playing a few rounds of golf for the next year or two. I think he's going to be on a little sabbatical. Just my guess. Why rush into something new? And ABC says the same thing. So let's read this article. In a dramatic twist that rivals all on-screen antics from The Bachelor, Chris Harrison officially departed the hit dating franchise this week after nearly 20 years as host of the series. It is kind of funny that his tagline was like, it's the most dramatic season ever. And it's like, it's the most dramatic exit interview ever. As the face of The Bachelor and the facelift of The Bachelor, The Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, and all the other juggernauts, Harrison has hosted more than 50 seasons altogether, dating back to 2002. But after making racially insensitive comments during a widely panned interview where he defended a contestant, Rachel Kirkconnell, who attended an antebellum-themed plantation party here, they just copy and paste that for every article. It's like, we all get it. We've talked about it extensively. After months of waiting on the sidelines as guest hosts began to fill in for him, Harrison officially parted ways with the franchise. You know what it's like? All right, let's keep this dating theme going on. Here's what it's like. It's like if you go on a break, okay? Say you go on a break with your husband or your wife or whatever. You're on a break, you think you might get back together, then you keep on hearing about other people they're banging, you know?
Careful who you bang.
You got to be careful who you bang. This, by the way, my live streams are so much fun. If you don't watch them, I get the funniest comments, and once in a while I'll clip them. And this is one of my favorite commenters' sound clips.
Be careful who you bang.
And it really applies to everything. You got to be careful who you bang. You got to be careful who you tell your dirty secrets to, because clearly Chris Harrison had a lot of information. He had a whole filing chart when he was leaving there. He was like, all right, Brian Friedman, power attorney, I think we're going to discuss my severance package. And then he just cranks open a vault and slides out this like glowing. There's always a light inside the vault. I don't know how they got it in there. There's no electricity. And it's like, oh, and it's just like a glowing pile of paperwork. It's like, here's an executive who did cocaine in Fiji. Here's an executive who banged a hooker in Colombia. Here's an exec, and it's all just like a file, like he's on, James Bond. And then they're like, how about a 7-figure payout? And he's like, here's an executive who swept a Me Too allegation under the rug. They're like, 8 figures. He's like, that's more like it. And can you make my check jumbo size? We're heating up today, folks. We're going to kill it today. It's going to be a very busy day for you and I. We got a lot of content to get through. If you didn't watch yesterday's TikTok video, I'm introducing Referee Dave. It's a character I'm introducing where I put on a referee cap and a whistle, and I'm going to start adjudicating all of this nonsense out here because there's too much running wild. We need a standard playbook to deal with all this. So go watch yesterday's TikTok. It's on YouTube, but it's about TikTok. Okay, I thought that video would have gone viral. It was gold. It was, but anyway, well, you know, what I think is good and what you think is good are two different things here, clearly. But you're still watching nonetheless. After months of waiting on the sidelines. So he's waiting on the sidelines. He's watching a bunch of other people bang his job, his lover, you know, calling Bachelor his lover. I think it's one of his brainchilds. He's been around from the beginning, and he's like, you know, it's like in any relationship, you get out of the relationship because you're sick of them, and then all of a sudden you see someone else being with them, and you go, oh, I kind of miss that. And then it's Sunday afternoon and you're all alone eating spaghetti that you made, and you're like, my ex made the spaghetti better. And it gets really sad. Did this get really sad? Just be careful who you bang. That's all you have to do is just be careful who you bang. We produce this show ourselves, folks. There's no assistants here. It's just me and a bunch of fingers trying to figure out which buttons work, which is kind of like my dating life growing up in the 1990s. All right, folks, here we go. I digress. Now with guest hosts rotating in and out for the current season of The Bachelorette and the upcoming summer season of Bachelor in Paradise, which might be called Bullies in Paradise. That'll be next video when I discuss all the bullies that'll be back on the show. There's one question on Bachelor Nation's mind: who will replace Harrison? Insiders explain that the search for a permanent replacement host is not top of mind among ABC brass, at least for now. We're going to get on Tinder and bang a couple Harrisons and see what sticks, and then we'll see what we like. Maybe we'll try something freaky. Who knows? Pinky in the bum? We can't tell you. We don't know. We've been in this weird long-term relationship for so long, we might just need to get degraded a little bit. Hey, my body, my choice. Autonomy. While the position is a major slot to fill, there will be lots of slots to fill. We just broke up, okay? We're going to try new things. I'm talking about me personally. I'm not talking about anybody else. I'm not shaming anybody. If I got out of a relationship after 20 years, there would be major slots to fill. I'd get a slotted.com and I'd be signing people up. The network has the luxury of time and isn't in a major rush, since according to two well-placed sources, it's likely a permanent host won't be named until the upcoming season of The Bachelor, which goes into production this fall and doesn't premiere until January 2022. Dramatically stops to breathe. I don't know, guys. I like Wagmeister. Is that her name, Wagmeister? I like Wagmeister here, Elizabeth Wagmeister. The thing is, and I don't blame her, they don't mention who their sources are, obviously. Dating back to the Colton Underwood story, she said there was a source that Colton Underwood, was being blackmailed, blueballed, blackmailed. And I just want to know, like, after Colton's lying, it's like, who's vetting these sources, you know? I know back in the day, it'd be like, well, we have a 2-step process. We got to go to the editor. But I can only imagine now there's just some guy smoking a cigarette that goes, what's your source? And they go, well, I got this one, air it, post it, you know what I mean? Whereas I'm just like, some, weirdo who, wakes up early and makes videos from my second bedroom here. I don't have the journalistic integrity of Variety.com, but I'm sure she checks her sources. Journalism isn't dead, even though this relationship is. According to insiders close to the franchise, there's no front runner for the job yet. Not filling Harrison's role. By the way, they're going to save a lot of money because there's no way Tayshia and Caitlyn got more than, low 6 figures. I'm sure they got $150,000 to host, and I'm sure they took it very happily. Maybe they got $250,000, but they certainly didn't get what Chris Harrison got. And he'd been with the company for 20 years. He has probably better negotiating than they do because they were just happy to be the co-host, first-time job. You don't go first-time job and say, I want to make what the guy who's worked here 20 years makes. That just ain't how it works. The current season of Bachelorette, starring Katie Thurston, is being co-hosted by Tayshia and Caitlyn. Many fans on Twitter applauded the duo who brought supportive female energy to the role. According to two individuals familiar with ongoing conversations, bringing back Adams and Bristow for the next season of The Bachelorette, starring Michelle Young, is more of a possibility than naming either of the women permanent hosts for the franchise. Yeah, I expect 2 women or 1 woman to be hosting the next season. I think they're going to go with that sort of energy. And I would expect for the upcoming male season to have male alumni. I mean, what would be interesting is if you had a single female hosting The Bachelor, and they kind of like, that would be like a Lifetime movie, a single female hosting The Bachelor. The Bachelor falls in love with the host. The host gives The Bachelor the rose to give to the contestant. The Bachelor turns around and gives it to the host. Jeez, I think I just coughed up an alien in there. Wow, sorry. Allergies. This past Monday's premiere of The Bachelorette Season 17, first to be hosted without Harrison, hit an all-time premiere low, dropped 24%. We reported that yesterday. Okay. Later this summer, Bachelor in Paradise is going to be a rotating slate of celebrities. I'm going to make a video about that with us, what the alumni are saying about the different celebrity hosts. One alumni calling it a circus. Oh, as if there was just a beacon of moral integrity beforehand. So anyway, that's the conversation there. Let's just barrel through these other articles. No offense to Yahoo Finance, but not the first place I go to get my news. No offense, Alexandra Canal here. Sorry, I didn't have the right tab open there. My bad. Chris Harrison is officially exiting the Bachelor franchise after nearly 20 years and is reportedly seeking a golden parachute that may top 8 figures. The longtime host is out. Okay, we got that. It's rumors, blah, blah, blah. Page 6 reported Harrison was making $5 million per season before this impromptu hiatus. $5 million a season. He does 3 seasons a year. And that he was seeking a whopping $25 million payout to exit the show. Yeah, the $25 million just does not seem like a high number considering what he was making and in the info that he has on them. The outlet added that the host threatened to spill all the franchise dirty secrets, although the reported settlement is believed to be lower than $25 million. Well, we'll see what it is. I mean, I can't imagine it's under $20 million. Brian Sullivan, an attorney at the law firm of Early Sullivan, told Yahoo beta attorney Brian Sullivan, an attorney at the law firm of Early Sullivan, told Yahoo Finance that the potential for a high payout most likely centers around Harrison's contract and how many years were still left on the deal. In addition, there's the issue of a morality clause, a legal component that's often vague in nature. None of that matters if you have dirt on your employer. It's probably questionable if his comments were enough to actually trigger the right to terminate in a way that was clear and obvious. He explained that student. Yeah, I don't think you can take someone's intent and have that be you don't know what he was thinking when he said everything that he said. So it'd be it's not like he was Papa John and dropped the N-word. And again, Papa John's got his own thing where he was smeared by his people. That's a whole other issue, guys. But the point is at least there was a clear cut. He said this. Boom. Done. It's all kind of done as a cost-benefit analysis, adding that high attorney fees, gathering witnesses, the litigation process at large is often not worth the time, effort, or money. Of course, it's like anything. It's even like, when it comes to if you're in a divorce battle, you're better off settling that. I know people that have spent millions in divorces. The kids are broke now. It's like, settle this. Only the lawyers make the money. So they did the right thing by getting this out before, it was mutually assured destruction. An attempt to litigate opens a can of worms that once it's open, you can't close it. This sounds like a sci-fi. Once the worms are open, you can't close. And who knows what would be revealed during that time. On top of all the risk, the studio would still have a decent chance of losing. No one ever has a 100% chance of winning. On Tuesday, Harrison posted a statement, blah, blah, blah. He said he's going to miss his time there. There will always be a compulsion by the studio to pay something to have it go away, LA-based litigation attorney Sean Andrade previously told Yahoo Finance. On Monday, Bachelorette returned. Premieres were lower. For comparison, okay, we got all that story. So the can of worms is a little clickbaity there. It's not like a big deal. Obviously, it's a can of worms, but the title says Chris Harrison's Bachelor payout battle may open a can of worms or close it. I was thinking that it would be a little more dramatic. A non-dramatic can of worms right there. All right, the third one. These articles are going down in respect decreasingly. We went from Variety to Yahoo Finance to MSNBC Opinion, which is basically someone firing off an article while they're taking a dump because they ate too much Thai food the night before. Bachelorette Katie Thurston didn't need Chris Harrison, and neither do we. If a reality show can't keep up or evolve with the culture it's anchored in, then the only inevitable conclusion is that it will end up relegated to the footnotes of TV history. Well, the question remains, like a lot of firings that happen in the public eye, do most of the public care, or is it a loud majority that got him fired and spooked the bosses? That's what Twitter essentially is. What is it like? Twitter's like, I'm going to make these numbers up, but it's like 20% of the country use Twitter, and only 5% of the people that use Twitter actually post on Twitter, right? The rest are just like there to consume. So it's a very small amount of people, as we've seen in a world where the demographics for The Bachelor, and I know this from the phone calls I get, what part of the country people are in, huge Southern, huge Midwestern fan base, even international fan base, and not everyone is on the same page. So to think everyone in the Bachelor Nation, is saying, oh, Chris Harrison, he's got to go. It's like, well, no. There's a huge amount of people that did not want him to leave from all diverse backgrounds that we've noted. And then there's people that think he's got to go. This crossed the line, and people will probably never agree on that. After 19 years, Chris Harrison has officially handed out his final rose. On Tuesday morning, news broke. Harrison exit package. Gaga, we got it. Is it not a good look in 2018 or is it not a good look in 2021? He didn't execute his. Chris Harrison just did not execute his point well. The point being that people are ignorance is something we're all learning from, and even though something might have sounded crazy a couple of years ago, there are plenty of things that we're just addressing even today. There's plenty of people that don't know what the Tulsa Massacre is. They don't know what that is. There's plenty of people that don't know about different internment camps. There's plenty of people that don't know a lot of things. Our country has a weird educational system. I said weird, but it's bad, where certain states decide what sort of information they're going to share. Some states, they decide they're not going to teach sex ed. Then the parents decide they're not going to teach sex ed. And then I'm reading an Oprah magazine trying to find out who Stedman is and what they're all about, okay? 3 days after the exit interview, Harrison announced, so he did several apologies. All right, so we got all the facts. As a journalist who has written and podcasted about the Bachelor franchise for nearly 10 years, I've thought a lot about the place this franchise has in American culture. The franchise has endured precisely because of its ability to telegraph dominant attitudes about love, sex, and dating, while sidestepping explicit conversations that might alienate segments of its political diverse audience. In recent years, that delicate balancing act has become untenable. The snarky Twitter discourse that once seemed fresh has now curdled, and beneath the good tweets is a whole lot of ugliness. Well, I would agree there. In the months since Harrison's extra interview aired, his employment status remained up in the air. That back and forth ended this week after the first season of Bachelorette, blah, blah, blah. He lost. Rotating celebrity judges, Bachelor in Paradise, we got it. Public reaction to the entire saga has been loud but fragmented, indicative of a politically and socially divided fan base. And it's hard to say politically and socially divided. It's hard to separate the two. Most people on this issue are divided politically, although I will say there are plenty of progressive people, such as myself, that want to tax the wealthy people, have a marginal tax, provide health care for all, cancel student loan debt to a certain extent, and make sure that we're covered in a place where we are not only the richest country in the world, but our people feel like we are. Get rid of that shrinking middle employment levels, get rid of all these top 1%ers that are scooping up all of the homes. So I got to live out of a 2-bedroom when my mom's like, why don't you just buy a home? And it's like, sorry, Nancy, they're not $19,000 like they were when you grew up in the 70s. Point being is that I think you can be progressive and want change and want a lot of big things, but also want counsel, not cancel. As Eric Michael Dyson said, I could have messed his name up. We shoot this live. The idea that growth, and people say, well, Chris Harrison can grow even if he's not on this platform. Yes, Chris Harrison can grow. But the question isn't about Chris Harrison. It's about all the people that have confirmed the idea that if you do something wrong, you're canceled and you can't move forward from that. Now, I don't exactly agree with that, but so many people in our country do that I think it's going to be very hard for people to have empathy for others in this situation because all they do is see an employee that was good for 20 years in his company get fired. And when they see that, how are they supposed to grow? How are the, millions of people that are on Chris Harrison's side that don't dig into the information as far as we do, how are they able to grow from this and say, well, it's a learned opportunity? No, for them, they go, oh, the whole woke police, the woke culture did us wrong, which is exactly what Chris Harrison was saying. So if Chris Harrison can grow from that and talk about that growth while using the Bachelor platform, maybe these people can grow from it as well. That's not going to happen. He took the money because he saw no other way out. Right? Are we right or we're right? I think we've covered this enough that we're on the side of common sense here. So people say, well, he's not canceled. It's just accountability. Listen, I know the words. I get it. He's off of the show. So to a large number of people that get their news and information only from that show, to them, he is canceled. Those people might not exist on Twitter. Those people might not exist on Instagram. They just sit down and watch ABC. They vote a certain way. They have trigger words in their mind. And they decided if Chris Harrison goes, then I'm down with these people. You know what I mean? So it's not that he's canceled like he's, abandoned in some factory somewhere in Ukraine. No. He's canceled in the sense that he no longer has a platform that reached those people that he might have been able to persuade through growth and learning over the next couple of years. And, maybe I'm going to bat for Chris Harrison too much. Maybe he doesn't want to do that growth. You know what? We'll never know because in that specific avenue, that's gone. And maybe he's just going to take the money and ride out into the sunset and live his nice life. I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Progressive viewers banded together after the extra interview with social media hashtags like Fire Chris Harrison and Change.org petition to demand Harrison's resignation. Former Bachelor alums of color also spoke out in a first for a franchise largely defined by its overwhelming whiteness. The cast of Matt James' season of The Bachelor, Claire Crowley and Adam's season of The Bachelorette, the two most racially diverse casts in the franchise history, put out collective statements decrying racism and standing in solidarity with Lindsay. Yeah, but no one's standing in solidarity with all of the behind-the-scenes problem. It's almost like you got rid of the figurehead, but you still haven't addressed the actual issues, like how we script the story, the lack of diversity with the storytelling, and how they go for the easy drama versus the bigger stories. The franchise's dedicated conservative Christian base largely rallied around Harrison, arguing that the woke police were indeed on the hunt to cancel a public figure. Many promised to stop watching altogether if he was ousted. And if the low ratings for Thurston's premiere are any indication, many of them kept their promise. I don't think that had too much to do with the ratings. I truly don't. So anyway, I think we got the gist out of the story. When the Bachelor, let's read the ending. Oh, jeez, the story keeps going. These opinions last forever. Am I right? When The Bachelor premiered in 2002, Harrison was essentially a peer of inaugural Bachelor Alex Michel. This familiarity allowed him to operate as an audience stand-in, asking his buddy probing questions, as well as playing the role of narrator, explicitly establishing the show's framework and purpose. This wouldn't be one of those run-of-the-mill, trashy dating shows audiences flipped past on MTV in the late 90s. The Bachelor was different. The Bachelor would be about finding true love, about finding marriage. Unspoken was the subtext. The Bachelor would claim universality while centering a very specific type of romantic commitment, white Christian heterosexual marriage. In 2021, American culture's dominant understanding of what romantic love can and should look like has changed in a million beautiful, expansive ways. The country has undergone long overdue national reckonings centered on sexual assault and racial injustice. This work is messy and necessary, happening both at a snail's pace and breakneck speed. If a reality show can't keep up or evolve with the culture it's anchored in, then the only inevitable conclusion is that it will end up relegated to the footnotes of TV history. Well, not a bad piece. I just disagree with the fact that he has to go for that change to happen. I think Chris Harrison's 49. He's not like he's 78 years old, right? Or call him 50, right? He's like 50 years old. He's got decades left to live. His audience is not old. They're just a specific type of people that enjoyed watching him on the show. Maybe they saw him as a dad figure. Maybe he went from a peer figure to a dad figure. It doesn't mean he hasn't evolved. He doesn't act like a peer anymore. He acts like a dad or an uncle or whatever he may be on the show. So clearly he's gotten a lot of love from a lot of past contestants, and we have to look at that as we go, okay, well, a lot of people seem to like him. Clearly, he's not perfect. He makes mistakes just like everyone else does. We all make mistakes. His mistake cost him a long-time job that he probably saw a lot of the crew as family. I'm sure the sound guy and the camera guy, hey, Steve, how's it going? Hey, Tony, oh, daughter got into Yale, awesome, cool. All of that was part of his identity, and that's no longer there. Now, like I've said, I'll just end with my opinion, is that more good collectively could have come by talking this out, by having conversations on platforms. And people say, well, he can do that on his own platform. No, there's an ironclad. Chris Harrison's calling me right now. Hey, Chris, how are you? Good to see you. Golfing? Having fun? Oh, yeah? You had to get an SUV? Because the check wouldn't fit into your Mazda Miata? Giant. Is it a check or a surfboard? What is that? Parasailing on a check, just holding it up and down. Oh boy, shut up. Stop calling me. Hey, look at that. We got another Patreon member. Jeez, I'm getting so many Patreon members. So I'll just say this. I think more good could have come than harm if Chris Harrison stuck around and that growth happened. And what's going to happen? Sorry, I didn't realize this was up the whole time. Jeez, how annoying is that? What's going to happen is that we are going to find out he can't talk about anything Bachelor related, and that may or may not be used as sort of a scapegoat for not having difficult conversations. You know, just like Colton and Cassie, they signed some paperwork, and now he's like, well, we can't talk about it. We agreed to something. No, sir, you paid her off so you don't have to have difficult conversations because you regret exactly what you did, and it would have been a better growth opportunity to talk about it moving forward and help people that might have been in a similar position, and it's the same way here. All right, folks, I've got a Patreon. I can't believe how many people have signed up for it. I'm showing you these numbers because I am humbled, and you guys have helped me be able to invest in new, amazing gear. I got this camera for all my vlogs that I'm doing. It's the nicest. I'm so grateful and fortunate. A Sony A7C with a beautiful 2.8 17 to 28 millimeter wide angle lens there. Thank you guys so much for all the investing you've done in me and my channel. I appreciate it so much. We just got up to 95 Patreons. Maybe it's 96 at this point. I'd love to get to 100 by the end of the day. That would be amazing. How about this? If we get up to 100 Patreon members, I'm going to do a 5 p.m. live stream this Sunday for Patreon only. If we don't get up to 100 Patreon members, I'm still going to do that live stream for all the Patreon people. So if you're on Patreon, 5 p.m. this Sunday, we're just going to do a private chat Q&A style. We'll talk about a bunch of stuff. For everyone else, if you can't afford that, the podcasts are all available. The SAP is my podcast. You can have that for free, or all this other content. In the meantime, at least do something free. Hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. More content coming your way. We're talking bullies and Bachelor in Paradise and some other information. So hang out. We'll see you guys in a little bit.